Hello, and welcome to Your Sparkly Brand, the podcast for badass, game-changing business owners who aren't afraid to sparkle and stand out. Here, we're all about fighting the status quo and marketing and branding so that you can reach more people and make more money. Coaches, creatives, and thought leaders, here you'll discover how to become magnetic AF so that you can build and scale your sparkly empire. I'm Megan Gersh, your bold AF branding and website designer, and I'm here with my co-host, the magnetic messaging queen, Lauren Tassi. Hey, Lauren, how are you?
Hey, Megan, I'm great. And I am so excited to introduce you to our guest today, Erica Reitman. Erica is a rule-breaking business coach for industry disruptors. She recently launched the Icon Agency, a first-of-its-kind empire-building agency combining one-on-one coaching, done-for-you services, mindset work, and accountability. Basically, everything you need to build those million-dollar foundations in your business. She currently lives in Mexico City with her husband and business partner, Greg, and her senior Basset Hound, Abe. Welcome to Your Sparkly Brand, Erica.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Awesome. So before we jump into your story, we like to start each episode by sharing our sparkly moment of the week. It's like a little win or a celebration, something that makes you feel sparkly. So Meg, what was your moment this week?
So I actually had a client come back to me for another project. So, little sparkly moment there. What about you?
Oh my God, mine is similar. I was on with a coach earlier this week and he's like, so, what's working for you right now? I was like, repeat clients. Erica, yeah. Do you have one you want to share?
I went out to lunch with someone that I met on Instagram. And the way that we met was so funny because a mutual friend was sort of sharing, links to other people that she really loved to follow online. And she shared me, which was so nice. And then the next person she shared was this woman named Car. I went to her account, started watching her stories, and she was showing like the view from her office. And I looked at the view and was like, wait a minute. This looks like Mexico City. How much of a crazy stalker am I going to seem like if I actually message her and ask her? But I decided, you know what, I'm going to do it. And she was in Mexico City and she just moved here. And so we decided to get together and have lunch. And it just was so super fun.
So the moral is it's okay to be a little bit of a stalker.
A little bit of a stalker is okay. Totally.
Awesome. All right. So let's get into it. Erica, why don't you just kick things off? Tell us about your journey. How did you come to start your business?
Sure. Well, I actually was an interior designer previously. That's kind of what I did when we were living in the States in Los Angeles. And my husband and I decided we wanted to take this fun adventure and move to Mexico for 6 months. We had found this town in Mexico we really loved called San Miguel de Allende. And the plan was, let's go for 6 months, have fun, and come back to our lives in Los Angeles. Well, we never returned. We've been in Mexico for almost 5 years now. And so what had happened was I realized that being an interior designer here was just a totally different story. You're just not able to make the same amount of money. You don't have access to the same resources. It just didn't feel like it was going to work for me. So I, at the time, was writing for HGTV and had built this business of mine, this interior design business, kind of from nothing. I had no training, had never worked at a design firm. And I always had people asking me, how did you do that? Like, what are the steps? I want to do it too. What does that look like? And so I decided to experiment. I was actually seeing a coach at that point, and she said to me, you have always talked about maybe becoming a coach. You have this opportunity now. I dare you to go home, put an offer out there, and see what happens. And that is what I did. I went onto my stories. I had no sales page. I had nothing really planned. And I ended up selling my one-on-one spots for coaching. And that's kind of how it got started. I started off working just with interior designers. And from there, things kind of opened up and I started working with other business owners. And here we are 5 years later. My husband, Greg, is working with me. That was a little pandemic move that happened. And we now have our agency.
I love that. And one of the things that really drew me to you is like you have this way about you where you kind of do things your own way and you kind of, blaze a trail. And one of the things that I know that you talk about a lot on social media is your brain is a dick concept.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about that and also give us some tips on how we can combat that?
Yeah. So once I decided I wanted to become a coach, I actually did get certified, which is not necessary, but a lot of people like to do it. And so that is where I really learned a lot about how our brains work and, what the power of working on our mindset and the effect that has on our lives and on our business. And some of it is kind of complicated and like not particularly interesting. There is a lot of science behind it, but I just was looking for a way to talk about how our brains are often getting in our way when we want to do big things, when we want to, put the new offer out there or try something new or move to the new place. And I wanted kind of an easy way to describe that. And just one day on stories, I started talking about it. And I said, your brain is a dick. And it really just stuck. People really resonated with it. And so it's become a phrase that I've used again and again. And it kind of, I think I like it because it lends a little sense of humor to situations that for a lot of us often feel stressful or, anxious inducing. But really what it means is your brain's main job is to keep you safe. And the way your brain wants to keep you safe is to keep you doing exactly what you're doing now. Your brain is used to that. They know, how you like to work in this state that you're in right now. Even if you don't feel happy, or like even if you feel like things aren't going that well, because your brain has gotten used to it, that's like your brain's state of comfort. And so when I say your brain is being a dick, I'm often talking about, because I do work with other business owners, any new idea you have, like you'll get so excited about it. You'll come up with this new idea, you're journaling, you're writing it all down. And then you start to hear that little voice in your head that's like, who do you think you are that you're going to put this thing out there into the world? Nobody cares. Like, just stop it. I mean, this is what my brain sounds like. Maybe yours are nicer than mine, but really that is what I mean. Your brain wants the best for you, but it's just always looking to keep you doing what you're doing. And for those of us that are in business or, whatever it is that you're doing in life, if you really want to put yourself out there or make some changes, it's gonna be hard to wrangle your dick brain. And you just kind of have to keep at it. It requires so much practice. When I first kind of became aware of how our brains worked, I just I understand it all now. I'm never going to have a problem again. Like, I understand my brain's trying to interfere, like it's trying to get in the way. I thought, okay, I made it to the top of the mountain. What I realized is you never make it to the top of the mountain because your brain is not going anywhere. But with practice, you really can get a lot better at dealing with it. So sometimes, things that would like knock me out for a week or make me give up altogether, now I can kind of deal with in an hour or two.
I love that. And I think that's a great example of like, you can hear something so many different ways, but you just have to find the thing that resonates for you. And like, people talk about ego, people talk about all that, but maybe it's just that your brain is a dick and it's that simple. And that's what's gonna, make somebody go, oh, I get it now.
Totally. And the other thing I will say too, because even when you realize that your brain is a dick, what then starts to happen is you get angry at yourself for continuing to allow your dick brain to talk to you. And there is no way to shut it off. So sometimes I realize like I'm beating myself up because I had this thought, but my brain is like doing its job. So I just need to like move on and get to the next thing, and it's going to be okay.
It's funny that we're talking about this. I saw a TikTok the other day that was talking about this similar concept. And they were like, if you need to name your dick brain, maybe that's Carla. You just say like, Carla's just really not nice. She's always in a bad mood. I don't know why she's always trying to put me down. Like, shut up, Carla.
Totally. That's such a good idea.
So we're talking about a little bit, but like mindset work as a whole, how important is that for you? How do you approach that with your clients?
It's so important for me. It's honestly, and I did not kind of enter into this world feeling like, ooh, I got to work on my mindset and what are my money issues and all of that. I don't know. I guess I came from a more like logical, proof-based kind of world. But I have found that the work I have been able to do on my mindset has really made the biggest difference in my business. So, do your new funnel or, hire the copywriter, like all that stuff is great. But what I have found is if I am not like actively working on dealing with all the shit my dick brain is telling me all the time, none of that stuff matters. So yeah, it's been so important for me. And I don't call myself a mindset coach, but every client that I have, we end up dealing with this mindset stuff. And so I sometimes kind of find it's like the medicine and the candy type of a thing. Like people don't necessarily come to me saying, help me with my mindset. But the more we talk, the more I realize, like, this is something that every single person needs. I have a bunch of like favorite mindset tricks. One that keeps coming up recently with clients is, again, it's this example of like getting frustrated when your brain is telling you this thing that you want to do is not going to work. And so I call this my equal time trick. And the point there is to not like force this thing to go away. Because again, your brain is just doing what it's supposed to do. It's going to keep having these thoughts. This one particular client was putting a new offer out and it was at a much higher price point, and her brain was like hard at work telling her nobody's going to buy it. This is so stupid. What are you doing? So the equal time trick is when that happens, okay, cool. But now I want you to spend an equal amount of time imagining the best case scenario. You sell out your offer. Somebody signs up, but they're like, I don't want 6 months. Can I sign up for a year? I want to go all in. You wanted to sell 5, you sold 10. It's like if you're going to spend time thinking about the worst case disaster scenario, that's fine. I just want you to spend an equal amount of time thinking about the best case scenario.
Yeah, that sounds super helpful, especially when you're all of us have been in that kind of like mindset where it's like nothing's going right. Like I feel like I'm doing everything and nothing is working. So when you are working with clients through that, is that like through journaling or is that just like with like meditations or how is that working?
For this particular client, like we were on a Zoom call, I gave her the tip and she just like went and implemented it. I don't think she was journaling. It's really just taking the time and stopping what you're doing. And I don't know if you guys talk to yourself in your head. I do that all the time. So it's just taking that moment. You can journal if you want. That's amazing, but you don't even need a journal. You just can talk to yourself in your head. And imagine the best case scenario and go all out. Like really think of like the craziest shit that if it happened would just blow you away. The thing is your brain doesn't know the difference between the truth and a lie. And so when you choose to spend all your time on the disaster scenarios, that's what your brain gets comfortable with. And that's sometimes inadvertently what we manifest in our lives. And so if you can at least start getting used to spending an equal amount of time, what you'll find is the crazy, amazing scenarios start to not sound so crazy anymore when little bits and pieces of them start to become true. So tricks like that for me are just so helpful because I need something tangible in the moment to do. I could teach you lots of concepts and we could study a lot of different things, but I just like those kind of actionable in the moment little tricks.
Yeah. And I feel like that kind of feeds into something you talk about a lot too, is like stepping into your CEO millionaire self, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's so many different things that you talk about when it comes to this concept. I know you talk about like merge your life and like, can you just briefly kind of explain to people what that is all about?
Yeah. So this concept I have around the CEO millionaire version of you is, again, this is like manifestation 101, but we often think about, for those of us in business, we have goals. We imagine, we let ourselves dream sometimes of these best case scenarios. And I just have always found that like $1 million is kind of that number that really feels for a lot of us like, wow, if I'm making $1 million in my business, like I made it, I'm doing something right. And so with this concept, I am encouraging people and sharing how I like to almost pretend and step into this version of myself now before my bank account might reflect it. Now, I am lucky enough that I got myself there, and that has been so incredible. But the truth of the matter is, it was because I was always practicing being the CEO millionaire version of me. Now, this means different things for so many different people, a couple of things that I like to do is I talk about how I dress up for work every day. Even though I work from home, I don't even necessarily have Zoom meetings every day. And on some days, I barely leave my apartment. I mean, we have a dog, I walk my dog, but I am such a homebody. I'm such an introvert. I love staying at home. But no matter what, even if I don't have a Zoom meeting and I'm not going to see anyone, for me, there is just a different energy when I dress up and I'm wearing a bomb outfit and I have my cool earrings and I just feel like I'm ready to go. And so that's an example. I mean, it doesn't cost you any money. Like, just pick out an outfit that you really feel good in. By the way, for me, dressing up looks a particular way. For someone else, it might be like a really fab workout set, or whatever it is for you that makes you feel like great and powerful and ready to attack the world. That to me is an example of stepping into the CEO Millionaire You energy. The other trick I love is oftentimes things will come up in our business, and whether it's like making a decision or dealing with a problem, or, again, you wanted 20 people in your masterclass and you only got 5, and now you're feeling like a complete failure and you should throw your whole business in the garbage. I often think about, okay, well, so what does CEO Millionaire Erica think of this? You wanted 20 people to sign up, 5 signed up. CEO Millionaire Erica doesn't give a shit. She's already moved on to the next thing. It doesn't mean anything to her because she understands that we're playing the long game here. We're making lots of money. We're making moves that requires us to experiment and sometimes fail. So she doesn't care about that at all. And again, there's something about that little trick that really just kind of helps me, process whatever it is that I'm dealing with.
So I think that is honestly the perfect segue to talk about the Zero Fucks Club.
Yes.
Let's talk about that. How do we sign up? I know you are the president, and are you accepting applications?
I am the president. It is a dictatorship. So I am not giving up my position. However, we are very welcoming at our yearly meetings. We would like to see as many people there as possible. Yeah. So the Zero Fucks Club is honestly like the hardest club you will ever join in your life. Like, forget about Soho House or all those other clubs. Getting yourself into the Zero Fucks Club goes back to what we were talking about, regarding all of this mindset work. And it really just means that I have my days here and there, but for the most part, what I have realized is, so many of us, especially those of us who are showing up regularly on social media, are deathly afraid of being judged by other people, and that someone will misinterpret what we said, or you're going to offend someone and you didn't mean to do that. And what I have realized after decades and decades of research is that I can't ever control what other people are doing. As much as I have tried, it doesn't work. And so if you've ever been in a situation where, you didn't mean to offend anyone and you had no idea that someone was upset based on what you've said, you've experienced this too. And so if we realize that there's no way to control what other people are doing, whether they're judging us or not, it's this level of freedom where we understand, if someone's going to talk about me and there's nothing I can do about it, there's nothing I can say or not say to prevent it, I may as well just show up and say whatever the fuck I want and just not care and not pay attention to it and not let that be something that's getting in the way of me showing up in the way I want to on social media, because I'm worried that Cheryl in accounting is going to be judging me. I just have gotten myself to the point that I just don't care. Though I will share with you guys that this was tested big time a couple of weekends ago when I discovered a group of people who were talking about me on Reddit that I had no awareness of. And I really feel they were talking about my looks and my wrinkles and my outfits and we have a home in Los Angeles that we Airbnb. Our home has been in design books, and these bitches on the Reddit board were judging my design style and my decor. Every time that happens, by the way, I'm always like, why don't you send me a picture of your place? Let's take a look at your house, because you got some real opinions there. I'd like to see what your decor is all about. So yeah, I really feel like it was the universe saying to me like, okay, bitch, you think you're the president of this club? Well, what are you going to do about this situation? And so, I mean, I decided to do nothing and, just not go back there. That's the plan. But, even as the president of the Zero Fucks Club, I still have my days. It doesn't mean that like sometimes these comments don't sting or hurt my feelings, but I have just decided that if I am showing up every single day in a way that makes me feel good, that feels aligned, if I'm putting forth my best effort, then there's just like nothing else I can do. And your opinion of me is none of my business.
I mean, first of all, I want to say like Reddit is terrifying.
Yes.
It's
never
like,
go there.
It's like the meanest part of the internet besides YouTube, honestly. So if you want to get torn apart on the internet, you can go to either one of those places and just post literally anything. You don't even have to be talking or doing anything. You could just sit there. But yeah, I mean, I think that is really, really great advice. I mean, the thing is like people are talking about you anywhere, like you're doing something right. Like you are getting into to their heads enough that they are feeling some kind of way. It's just,
Yeah. I mean, when you think about it, it's like, can you imagine hating someone? You're so annoyed by this person that like, just the sight of them bothers you. And you have chosen to consume every single piece of content that they put out every single day. And not only that, you then take time to go into a forum and discuss it. Like when you break it down like that, I just feel very bad for all of these women, because if that is the way that they have fun or connect with other people in the world, I honestly feel bad for them.
Like, guys, why are you so obsessed with me?
Right?
Like, oh my God.
Totally.
So to change topics a little bit, how can entrepreneurs get comfortable being transparent about the money they're making? Why should we do this?
Yeah. Well, honestly, I don't necessarily think that everyone should. I do think it's a personal decision for me, and I have chosen to do that because, in my opinion, particularly as women, the more we do that, the better it is for all of us. Because, I'm definitely older than you guys, but when I was growing up, like the idea of talking about money like we do now is insane. I mean, you would have been a legit crazy person. Everybody would have been talking about you and judging you. There for sure would be a Reddit forum, for sure would be YouTube videos. And I just think that it kind of like keeps us in this place of, not being the biggest version of ourselves, because money is important. And whatever you want to do with your money, like that's up to you. I'm not judging, but it gives you freedom and it gives you power. Even if you want to donate it all, the more that you make, the more you can donate. So I really have always talk transparently about money, and not even just like the money I make. I mean, back when I was an interior designer, I talked like the other designers did not like this. I was constantly talking about how much things cost and how much money people are making and the difference between hours-based projects and other projects. And all the other designers were like, what the fuck are you doing? Stop. But to me, I just feel like, I mean, not to be cheesy, like knowledge is power. Like, why are we holding this back from people? If they really wanted to research it, they could figure it out. So why don't I do whatever I can to like help people reach their goals? Like not everyone can hire an interior designer. Most people can't. And so for the people who can't, how am I showing up for them? And that to me was always way more important than like keeping the secrets of other designers. So, in so many ways, I do think it's really valuable and important for us to do. However, I also realize that just for whatever reason, some people are not comfortable doing it. And so I don't think we all have to do it. I want everyone showing up on social media and sharing in whatever way feels comfortable for them. But I have chosen to like push the boundaries a little bit and push my comfort level a little bit in order to talk about money.
I think on a similar note, it's really interesting too. I think I've seen a post or two from you talking about your pricing as a service provider, like being upfront about that is really important. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, this is, and still a lot of sales coaches will disagree with me. I am seeing a lot of change on this front, but I have always from the beginning been very transparent about my pricing, which means if you want to work with me, you don't have to get on a call in order to find out how much that's going to cost. You don't have to put your email on a list and get my pricing guide. I don't even like that. That bothers me. And that is because for me, number one, I don't want to waste my time and I don't want to waste your time. The idea of getting on a call with someone and knowing that my price is $25,000 and they think it's $1,000, like in what universe is that fun for people? I don't understand it. But the other thing is I don't know. I just like to treat people like adults. Like, tell me what the price is. Could you imagine if, and I know there are some stores like this, but could you imagine if like you went into Target and everything you liked, you had to ask how much it was?
Market price.
Yeah, it's the thing that we all want to know. We get to a sales page and we immediately scroll down to see what the price is. And it's just even to see like, can I afford you? It's not like a judgment type thing. And I even think on those sales calls, I liken it to like, for me, it's like there's a bomb in the middle of the room. I can see it and you can see it. We both know it's going to go off at some point, barely listening to anything you are saying until the bomb goes off, because we know it's coming. We know it's there. It's awkward as fuck as we're trying to talk back and forth and we see the thing counting down and counting down. And that to me is the price, because that is the thing that the person wants to know. That's the thing that the coach or the service provider is so nervous to talk about. And it's like, why are we putting ourselves in this uncomfortable situation? And, I think sometimes people will say, well, they need to understand the value of the thing before, I tell them the price. Then I'm not interested. If I can't see your price, then I'm not getting on a call with you. Like I'm not hiring you. Like that's how angry at you I am.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about selling, since you brought that up. So like selling your products and services. So I know that a lot of entrepreneurs sometimes can have this like feeling around like sleazy selling, and they don't want to step into that and all of that. Can you talk about any advice you might give to people for how to avoid feeling sleazy when you are selling or launching something?
Yes. Well, first of all, that's your dick brain again, getting in the way. And for some reason, thinking of a 1970s used car salesman, which apologies to 1970s used car salesmen, but that's like the image that most of us get in our heads. And it's understandable. And I think there is a piece of this that's tied into the money conversation too, and people feeling uncomfortable about that. But the example I like to use, and this is a little embarrassing because I'm kind of basic bitch in this way, but my favorite store is Marshall's, which is a store in the US. It's like a discount store and they sell everything. And you basically have to go in there and search through every rack and every shelf to find the best things. For me, like the dreamiest afternoon is like 2 hours in Marshall's with my iced coffee and nowhere to be. Like that to me is like the dreamiest day possible. And now that I live in Mexico City and we don't have it, like every time I go back to the States, it's so much fun. I have never walked into Marshall's and been like, whoa, guys, everything here is for sale. Like I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. Could you just like slow your roll a little bit? Like you're coming on a little strong. No, I understand what's happening there. Marshall's is a business. I want to buy everything in the store and it doesn't bother me that it's all for sale. And I don't ever want to walk into Marshall's and have somebody be like, look, you were here the other day. We know that the everything for sale thing can really be overwhelming for some people. So we shut down the shoe department so that like you don't have to go in there. So like, don't worry about it. We're not going to talk about it. You're not going to see it. Like, don't worry. No, I want some fucking shoes. Like, don't shut the shoe department down. Like, if I wasn't interested in it, like I don't have kids. So I'm not in the kids department unless, I'm shopping for a present, but I don't walk by the kids department and think, I just want to fucking firebomb this place because everything's for sale and it's annoying me. I'm in the store. And so I like to say that you are someone's favorite store when you are online. Your followers understand that you have a business. This is not a surprise to them. And if they were showing up on social media, and some people do, and they don't want to be sold to, and they don't ever want to hear about anything that's for sale, they would get to your account and see that you have a business and choose not to follow you. But if you have chosen to be in my world, you understand what's happening here. This is my business. And so I am going to sell to you every single day. That's the other thing too. It's like, again, do you ever walk into a store and someone's like, I don't want to bother you with anything. So like, here's just some champagne, sit down. No, I am in a store. I want to buy things. And so I sell every single day. Now, I'm not necessarily always selling like, hey, buy my thing. This is what it is. That is a piece of it. But I mean, 95% of the time I'm selling without selling, which is really, it's an art and you have to practice it and get really good at it. But I am constantly talking about different opportunities to work with me. I'm constantly talking about lessons that I learned, with my one-on-one client today. I don't even have to say, hey, I have a one-on-one package. I'm talking about cool work that I did today with a one-on-one client. And somebody out there is going to be like, oh, Erica still has one-on-one clients. Amazing. And so, yeah, I don't feel bad about it. I know some people, might not dig it. I'm not showing up for them. I'm showing up for the person like me who wants to spend 2 hours in my space with a iced coffee, just like binging all of my videos.
I think that what you're saying is really important because both that and the gatekeeping your pricing thing, I think that's a very like old school way of selling. It's very much like this, like not knowing how savvy our audience is these days. And also not trusting that like my customer, if they think I'm selling too much, they're not my customer. Right. It's just like, these are my people. They're smart. They know what they're doing. Who cares if it's $25,000? They're going to talk to me anyway.
Yeah, 100%. And the fact that we all just like immediately go toward like, I don't want people to think that I'm being sleazy. Are you sleazy? Like, is that how people would describe you? Because if not, nobody's going to think that about you. Like you would never act that way. You're not a sleazy person. So it's literally impossible for you to come off as sleazy, and it's all kind of tied into one. But I totally agree that I think the fact that I am so comfortable being transparent about money on these different fronts allows me to show up in a way and sell in a way that, people do struggle with.
So I was creeping on your Instagram account before we hopped on the call, and I was checking out your retreat, the Icon Retreat.
Yeah.
I could tell you're really intentional about capturing those moments. Tell us about the strategy with documenting the whole experience.
Yeah. Well, even to just take a step back, when we were launching the Icon agency last summer, I thought to and I should just like get it out there. The most fun for me, the most exciting thing in my life and in my business is to like think of a way of doing things differently. Like that's what I get off on. It's just so super fun for me. And so when we were launching our agency, I was thinking about like, what can we do as a bonus? And just to kind of give you the scoop, our agency is a combination of like one-on-one coaching and done for you services. So we basically tell you what we think you should do in your business, and then we do it for you. It's pretty cool. But I was thinking to myself, like, what kind of a bonus do we want to give to the first people who sign up as clients for the agency? And look, I've done this before too, but like, oh, you get access to this old course of mine that nobody cares about anymore. Like just wasn't doing it for me. And I really wanted to think of something that was going to be so juicy and so valuable and would really help people feel good about making this decision. And so we offered a free retreat in Mexico City for our first 5 clients. And we had the date all set, it was going to be in March of this year. And it was like so much fun for us to kind of put that together and offer it and think through. And I will say there was some strategy there too, because I've always thought about potentially doing retreats or, like VIP days, things like that. And so I thought, why don't I test this out with a group of 5 women who, out of all the people in the world, trusted us the most, took a chance, made an investment. Like how cool that I got to spoil them in Mexico City. So the retreat came around, and I will say, side note, oh my God, the planning and the level of detail that is required for a 3-day event for 5 people was next level. And I have done events before. I used to be in marketing, so like, I don't know, for some reason, I just did not remember what was required in order to do that. And that was a thing for me too. It was really important. Like, even though this retreat was free for them, I didn't want it to feel that way. Like we booked them rooms in a gorgeous boutique hotel. Nobody was sharing a room. Everybody got their own beautiful room. We were going to beautiful restaurants. I didn't want it to feel like a second rate, like this was free, like I just didn't want any of those vibes. And so right before the retreat, this really was like a day or two before, I started thinking about, this whole thing that we put together and what it means for us and the specialness of it and all of the time and effort that we put into it. And I was reminded that in the past, literally every single time there's an event going on and I want to document the event, I never, ever, ever fucking do it. There is one picture like in the morning, and then I just don't deal with it for the rest of the day because I haven't like made plans to do it. And we get busy and things happen and you feel stressed. And it just, for me at least, it just never happens. And so I made the decision that things were going to be different this time. And my number one job, aside from like making sure that everything was going great and that everyone was having a good time, was documenting the event, like in real time. And that decision was honestly, like, I gotta say, not to toot my own horn, but like one of the most accidentally smart things that we have done from a marketing perspective, because I really wanted everyone to almost feel like they were there with us, having these experiences together, sharing like really nitty gritty details, like why I decided to put certain things, in the gift bags. And, I had created this entire document where we had our itinerary. And then I decided to take time and think about, how do I want the women to feel at each of these events? And what am I going to do to help them feel that way? So, for example, at our first event, we had everyone come to our apartment here in Mexico City and we did like a cocktail thing. I've done these things before too. Like these women don't necessarily know each other. And it was so important to me that they felt welcome and they felt, oh, okay, everybody here is great. I'm going to have a wonderful weekend. This isn't going to be like a scary type of a thing. And so, documenting everything and really thinking intentionally about how I wanted to do that and, different ways of sharing was really, in a strange way, it almost like it allowed me to a little bit be a little less stressed because I had like the framework of this thing that I was trying to kind of keep up and I felt the responsibility of that. And I almost think it helped in terms of my own stress and anxiousness. So, I got amazing feedback from it. I had people every single day of the retreat, like, oh my God, like just DMs all day long from people I knew and people that I didn't. And I just think it was, a super fun way to give people an inside look into some of the behind the scenes of your business. And the way I think about this stuff, because it's not like we didn't finish up the retreat and have somebody immediately sign up at the agency. But I know that when you take the time to do things like that, whether you get someone that next week or whether it's a month or two later, when you are able to build those connections and those relationships with people in your community, like there's just not a downside to it. And I always feel like even if you don't see that like quote unquote payoff immediately, it's still so worthwhile to do things like that.
I think like honestly, that series of Instagram stories was one of my favorite things. And I found myself like at points during that weekend being like, I have to tune in, like what's Erica doing? Like, just like looking for like whatever the next thing was. I just think it's like such a testament of like the attention to detail that you kind of bring to everything when it comes to your work and the things that you talk about online. When we're thinking about like, how can we take our brands from basic to icon? What does that look like? What's like one actionable thing that we can do like today?
Yeah. Well, something that I did recently, I will share with you. And if you're a coach or you have a service-based business, a lot of us have applications, for example. So the big picture answer to your question is I like to be thinking about every single solitary touch point I have with my clients and potential clients. And that encompasses so much in your business. Yes, your social media is a piece of it, and you choose what your social media looks like. Your website is a piece of it. You choose what your website looks like. But I like to think of even the tiny little things that most of us just like kind of check a box and set up. And so recently I was looking over our application, and we now have an application to work with us, whether, we have different offers at the agency at different price points. But I was looking at our application and I was like, just feels so basic, bitch. Like, you just don't get a sense of me or my sense of humor. Like, you just like don't get the vibes of our brand on our application. Now, I know like 99.999% of people have the name, address, social media, and all of that stuff is important. But I just thought to myself, like, I want someone coming to our page and filling out that application, and before they even hit submit, I want them to be thinking like, oh my God, I am so freaking excited to work with this woman. I am so excited to work with this agency. I've never seen anything like it. Oh my God, sign me up. Like, that was the feeling that I wanted to create. So I completely rewrote the application. And again, it's not like I rewrote the application and the next day 30 applications came in. Maybe some people like won't even know it. I mean, I did try to put some funny stuff in there, so hopefully some people will get some laughs. But I really think if you want to take things to that next level, just think about one of those things in your business, whether it's an application, whether it's, an onboarding document, whether it's, I don't know, what else? I guess you don't want to do this in your contract. That's not a good example, but just think of like one thing in your business like that you can like zhuzh up and, do in a different way and stand out from the crowd, and just make sure that when people are, and I like to think too, like, especially for those like first touch points, I think those are so, so important. But honestly, I think about every single one of them. I always want my client to, have the thought that I have put time, thought, and intention into this because they are important to me. And it's important to me that they realize that everything that we do together needs to be at a certain level. And so I just would say, like, audit your business, pick one of these things out. And if you feel like you're being a little basic bitch, like, just take some time, take the weekend to zhuzh it up. And that, my guess is, will likely inspire you to look for other areas in your business that you can do this too.
I love that. I was actually just writing a piece about this, like finding those details, right? That's where brands are built. It's like your shipping confirmation email. Let's make it fun. Why can't it be fun? Why does it have to be boring?
Right. That's so smart. Yeah. Thank you pages. Like, there's so many things that you can do to have fun with this stuff, and you don't have to do it all at once. Again, those of us who have businesses have a lot of these touch points, but just being aware of it is number one. And then bit by bit, you do these little upgrades.
So that was something you've done recently. Let's go back in time, and right when you were on the verge of up leveling your business, what's an action that you took to hit that next level?
I mean, an action that I took, I'm trying to think like really, really specifically. I mean, for me, it's often been investing in different ways before I really was understanding that this investment was a smart thing to do at the time and was really going to pay off. I have always been the one to, like, even before the business is there and I've sold the thing, I will spend thousands of dollars on a photo shoot because I am not open to the possibility that this is not in some way, shape, or form going to work. Now, we all get to do this within reason, and I certainly don't think like go into incredible debt in order to do something like that. But just taking chances again and allowing yourself to be on that side of things where you are imagining your best case scenarios, I really think is so, so valuable and is such a big part of this like general idea of up-leveling your life and up-leveling your business. I would say too, joining the Zero Fucks Club, like figuring out a way to respect myself enough that I am just making the decision that I am not available for spending. I mean, if I had to like add up all of the hours that I have spent in my life worrying about what other people think of me, I would probably be shocked by that number. And allowing myself to finally get to this place where I just am like, look, I I want to have a big impact on the world. There are a lot of women out there that I want to help. There are a lot of businesses that I want to build. I am no longer available for caring what Angry Mom 22 thinks of me and what I have to say and what I have to wear and how many wrinkles I have. Like, I'm just not interested. So I think that both of those things probably for me helped a lot with the up leveling.
I love it. So can we talk about some upcoming projects that you're excited about? Are you working with any cool clients you can talk about?
Yeah. Well, the big thing that's front and center for me right now is we are doing a program called CEO Millionaire You. And this is my first mindset course. I've never really done one before. And as we were thinking through what we wanted this program to be, again, I'm always in the space of how can I do things differently? And so I decided I wanted to kind of reinvent the way we think of online courses, because I think we've gotten to a place where I don't think online courses are going anywhere, but I also just didn't want like hours of me sitting on Zoom with this, it's beautiful, but this wall hanging behind me and like people sitting there with their notebooks and like feeling like homework. That just like didn't feel fun for me. And so I put this whole course together in a way that I'm hoping will be really different for people. We're shooting it kind of like a TV show so that instead of feeling like you are just staring at me sitting in front of my wall hanging in my office, I'm going to teach a lesson walking my dog Abe on the street, or you're going to like get ready with me when I'm doing some of these CEO Millionaire things like my wine glass. I don't even drink wine. All of my drinks are in wine glasses. And just presenting the content in a way that just feels, I'm hoping, way more fun. Like I want people, cooking in the kitchen and having it on in the background, not sitting with their notebooks and a pen and, taking notes and just like feeling like that. I also decided I wanted to like really think hard about, oftentimes you buy an online course and there's like a PDF, template from Canva or Creative Market or whatever that nobody ever uses. And so I put this program together in a way where like the deliverables like that look totally different. Like this entire course is all about teaching people how to step into that CEO Millionaire You energy in a lot of different ways. And so I thought, you know what? We just recently went on a bougie ass trip to Paris for my birthday. I'm going to share our exact itinerary with you. Everything that we did, everywhere that we stayed, everywhere that we ate. If you want to use some of those places too, cool. Or if you just want to see what we did for the 5 days, cool. I'm going to give you a tour of my apartment here because we didn't get to talk about it, but merch my life is something that I really love too. And basically that concept means that I want to surround myself everywhere I look in every space that I'm in with beautiful, inspiring things. And I know for me, that has a direct effect on my business and the amount of money I make. I am definitely like, as a former interior designer, a designy type person. But like, for example, when we moved here to Mexico, most other Americans will rent a furnished place. I could not do that because I hate everyone else's taste and I didn't want their lame-o furniture. So even in situations like that, it's worth it for me. I mean, now we've been here for 5 years, so it really was worth it. But even thinking like we're going to be here for 6 months, like I don't want to use your ugly comforter. Like it literally affects my every single day. And so I decided when we moved into this specific apartment that I was going to merch it all out and make it almost look like a boutique hotel or a store and do those same types of things because I just wanted to be inspired all the time. I don't want to look at an ugly orange sponge. Like, why are all sponges orange and purple? I don't like that. It's gross to me. So I had to find my aesthetic sponges. And so we're going to do a tour of my place and I'm going to show you all of those things and, take you into my world and give you ideas for how you can incorporate this into your life. And so I'm really hoping, like, I really do want to reinvent what we think when we think of an online course, because I just think people are getting bored of like the same old stale online courses. And I know that almost no one is finishing them. which is also something, it's like I'm always trying to think, how can I get that person that I'm working with or helping to done? Because I think that, yes, we all need to take responsibility for ourselves. But if there's something that I can do to help my clients or, someone who buys one of my courses get to done, I want to do that for them too.
Awesome. And is that out now or that's coming?
That's coming this summer. So it's not out now. We're doing the shoot in 2 weeks. So we're getting ready for it. But we're shooting for July, August.
Gotcha. Okay. So where can we find you online to make sure we know when that's coming out?
Yeah. So I'm on Instagram and TikTok. It's just my first name and my last name, ERICAREITMAN. Definitely, I'm having more fun hanging out on TikTok recently, but I'm still, of course, on Instagram, and I love to connect with people in both spots.
Awesome. Well, we'll put links to both of those in the show notes so people can go check you out. Thank you so much for joining us today. This has been so fun.
Oh, thank you. I had a blast with you guys.
And we want to say thank you to our listeners for listening. If you enjoyed the episode, please leave us a review and subscribe so you never miss one. Until next time, stay sparkly.